when you start envisioning yourself living a different life, that is truly the beginning awareness that creates the play of with possibility. What if I could live that life? What would it look like? And then, like you say, breaking that down, but envisioning that in your head points the reticular activation system in your brain to say, this is what we're focused on. Yes. And then we naturally go towards that and start solving the issues. Hello, beautiful people. Yes, I am talking to you. Are you ready to feel confident AF, free from the expectations and opinions of others, and create ultimate self-trust in who you are, what you say, and how you show up in every part of your life? If you answered a hell yes, I am, I guarantee this episode will empower you to be 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed. It's time for you to strut your stuff, express yourself with freedom, and fully embrace every freaking fabulous part of you. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another episode of Road to Radical Visibility. My name is Rachel Freeman Sowers, also known as the Break Free Bitch, because I am passionate about helping people just like you break free from the social constructs, opinions, expectations, and beliefs that are holding you back from living and experiencing your life exactly the way that you want to. And if you're new here, or you've been hanging out for very long, you'll know that my professional and personal motto is being 100% yourself, 100% of the time. No shame or guilt needed. Now, today's episode is going to be different. As you can see, I have my sister from a different mister on this episode again. Hi, Shana. Thanks for coming on the episode.
Thanks again.
So today, Shana and I are here to empower you, to inspire you to know that reinvention can happen at any stage of life. Shana is not only my sister from a different mister, she has become my best friend, all of it off of TikTok, just FYI. And she is also my business partner in creating multi-authored book projects that really allow us to tell our stories and inspire other people to experience their life the way that they want. Do you want to add anything to that, Shana?
No.
Well, okay, if you're not...
What she said.
Yes. If you're not watching the video and you're listening on the podcast, of course you're going to hear our voices, but this shit's going to be hilarious today. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. We have not planned it out. What we want to do.
You're my wingman. I'm your wingman.
That's right. That's right. What we want to do is empower you to say, I'm doing this. And I'm doing it because I need to, for my life, for me to experience the way that I want. This episode is also inspired by a recent book that was just published. You can hold up your copy. I'll hold up mine. It's called Your Voice, Your Choice. In this multi-authored book project, it really was about 20 women telling their stories of reinvention and resilience. And I am telling you, as I've read through this book, and then I'll ask you what your thoughts are, of course, because you helped them write all the stories, right? As I read through the book, I was like, oh my gosh, there is a story in this book for everyone, right?
Right. I mean, I think, if somebody does go through and read all the stories, they're going to realize that there's a thread of something in each story that we can all, respond to. And even if you haven't gone through personal struggles or death or whatever, there's always something relatable. So I just encourage people to, read one story at a time. And they're all very different. Even though we have a thread of, reinvention and resilience, a lot of resilience came through. That wasn't even going to be a word we used in the beginning, right, Rachel? But we found through the course of 6-7 months that these women, and Rachel, you and I included, have a tremendous amount of resilience. And, sometimes when people think of that word, they think, oh, you're out to fight or whatever, but it's not that at all. It's the ability to manage your outside world, your inside world, and um, do it in a way that is really, I don't know really where I'm going with this, but do it in a way that honors yourself and those around you.
Absolutely.
And then
I love that.
it's just so much more manageable. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and this will come out in the next hour or whatever we're talking, but like Rachel, you and I didn't start out this way. Like you don't start out at age, I'm 57 now. It's like I didn't start out when I was 12 with confidence and this and that. And I'll be honest, anyone who knew me back when I was younger, you would not recognize me in terms of who I am, who I've become, because I was shy, timid. I wouldn't answer the phone, landline phones, right? Not cell phone.
If
I
you know,
had
you
my
know.
parents to answer the phone, and my mom was like, "She's so shy with blah blah blah."
Mm-hmm.
And when people know me now, I get up in front of thousands of people. I talk. I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's a progress that took me a long time to get there. So I just
Well,
a long way of saying the word resilience, but it was so important, so
I,
important.
I I am so glad you brought up your definition of resilience because as a licensed marriage family therapist for the majority of my career, and now as a liberation and visibility coach, resilience isn't just about how you get back from a trauma.
Yeah,
Right. And that's often how it's used in the psychological field. Like, oh, you're resilient. So, or we also say, like, oh, my kids are resilient. So it won't impact them as much. Or that person's resilient. They've been through a lot of things. So it won't. But the fact of the matter is that resilience is about how, like you said, you get yourself back to living the life you want to live and experiencing it the way that you want to for yourself. Right. And every single one of you listening to this and or watching this have the power within you to live your life exactly the way you want. Now, let's just be real. Reinvention is not unicorns pooping cotton candy all the time. Rainbow cotton candy, I'll just say that.
burst my bubble.
Right? We're going to talk today about the truth about resilience, about the fire that resilience has in us and helps us create, and the power of it.
Right.
Because there are so many things that get in our way. And I know that you have had massive reinventions in the last year.
Yep.
And all of you know this podcast and the show is about being real and raw. So I'm going to be real and raw. Shauna's going to be real and raw. And so you better buckle up, my friends, because it is going to be fucking powerful.
I feel it coming on.
I know. I can feel you. I can feel you through
I'm
through the thing.
I'm moving. I'm doing things with my body that make me feel more comfortable. That's another form of coping resilience. Yeah.
So let's just dive into like what have been your reinventions over the last 12 months?
Oh wow, yeah. Just to back up for people, so I think it was January of this year, coming up a full year. I called Rachel and I said, "Hey, I have this idea for a book project, not just a book." And I mean, why would I call Rachel? But I called Rachel because I thought she'd be a great partner in terms of helping these women get through their stories and tell their stories and whatnot. And then of course your online platform, to showcase everybody. So it was just sort of a natural thing. We went about planning and we launched on International Women's Day, March 8th. And we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, I've done other multi-author books. So, had the blueprint, but this was dealing with women who very, very raw, real emotions and situations and whatnot. And so I wasn't, not to say I wasn't prepared for that, but it was a surprise to me. And that, Rachel, I came to you, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like the psychologist, like I'm a ghostwriter, I'll take your voice and I'll transform it onto a piece of paper. But then I felt like, oh, they really need me. So I became a really good listener, I guess. But during the course of this whole thing over the last several months, I needed that. during the course of this year, my mom, who was 84, she had failing health for years, but this was the time when she was ready to go. So I had to make a few, trips back to Calgary, Alberta, my home. And my mom passed away in June of this year. And I was like, how am I going to keep all this shit together? I've got all these women and all these people relying on me for this book, right? That we're launching in the fall. And in and amongst all this, I'm dealing with my mom, right? And I said to you before, Rachel, that I haven't taken the time to grieve. I've had too much stuff to do. And then you throw in moving. We sold our condo, we moved. My partner got so sick for weeks that I had to do everything. And I'm still trying to publish a book. I fucking don't know how I did it. I'll just be dead honest.
Well, we all did it together.
I lost about 10 pounds, so there's another side effect. I've lost weight. A lot of stress. But, did I pop out at the other end? Yeah, here I am. And I feel, actually, as much as I felt so weakened this year by these events, that I feel on the other side of it, like I feel so strong and empowered. And I think that's where, like for myself, the resilience in me continues to grow. And, people talk about resilience as an after effect, like, oh, she was resilient through that whole process or whatever. But I almost look at it as a futuristic thing. Like, why can't we be more proactive with resilience? Like, knowing you're going to be facing a difficult situation, what are you going to pull out of your tool bag, emotional, physical tool bag, to get you through that? And it seems so simple, and I've said this to you, Rachel, and many others. There's one word that I've adopted this year, and the word is temporary. Because I needed to tell myself that this was temporary. Everything. And then I started to become more analytical about it. I'm like, everything's temporary. Our hair, our skin, our cells change every 7 days. Like, we are literally a new person every single cell in like 7 years. Brand new person gets evolved. So we're always changing, And so, I think I'm going to leave this point back to you, Rachel, but yeah, the resilience part of the factor was something that surprised me.
And isn't it interesting? I mean, if we go back, resilience is absolutely something that is created, developed. It doesn't always, just FYI, it doesn't always have to come out of hardship. Right. Resiliency is built out of feeling good, feeling happy, experience joy. Resilience is built out of all of it. So if your resilience is only built out of trauma and hardship, we need to help you balance that out, my friends. Now, if we go back to reinvention, and we're seeing how for you, all of these instances that felt like the fire, we go through those instances, and what is the thing that you said to yourself that says, I either want to be this way or I'm not going to be doing that anymore? Because that's where reinvention happens. Reinvention happens when we decide, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've reinvented myself so many times over my life. It's sort of like, which story do I choose? Like, it was literally like, which story do I choose? Because, when you have lots of life experiences, which is fantastic, you get to pick and choose. So, my story that I chose, because it's near and dear to my heart, is the reinvention of becoming a mother. I mean, it's automatic. It's almost like an automatic thing. You're carrying this child, and all of a sudden the child's born. You're like, oh my God, I'm a mother. Now what? And spent the last 20 years figuring that out. But anyway, so I told a brief story about my son, and the different challenges and struggles and wonderful things that have happened along the course of being a gay woman. With a female partner, co-parenting, and going through all of the, like, just getting pregnant. Like, that is not something that we just get to do. We have to organize it, make appointments, book appointments, pay money. Like, there's so many things that I think I hopefully addressed a lot of that, my personal experience on that. And it's funny because I'm watching this young couple on TikTok go through the same thing, and they're Canadian. So I'm reaching out and I'm sending them little things, because they're just like 5 weeks pregnant, and they're going through all this stuff. They're sharing the entire thing online, which is really fascinating, because 20 years ago there was no online, there was no sharing. No. Nope. I was, I believe, the second lesbian in Calgary to be inseminated through the clinic. So yeah, I feel like I'm talking like dinosaur age, but those are the things that redefine me. Of course, being a mom. And I did add to the story that the surprise reinvention for me, which I will take a long time to figure out, is I'm no longer a daughter. And I put that in my book. And I haven't taken the time, and I don't want to right now, to unpack that.
Well, let me just take some of this, because, in the reinvention, so much happens. Yes, when you're born and you go through and you're like, go up to teenage, and then you start trying to figure out who you want to be, what you want to be, how you want to interact in the world. Then you hit your 20s and you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and here's my first identity. And then you hit late 20s and you're like, what the heck is going on? This is not what I want to do. Then you hit your 30s. You're like, okay, you have this renewed thing. And you're like, okay, let's go. Then you hit your late 30s and you're like, fuck this. I don't want this anymore. I'm tired of doing this. I'm going to live my life. And then you go and you do that. And now you're 50s. I'm 51. You're 57. So 40 was like, screw everyone else for me. And this is a very familiar story for women, and I believe other marginalized communities who have so much shit put on you by toxic social constructs, all the things we already talked about, right? And then you hit your 50s, and then you're like, it was almost like for me, like, oh, it was like, oh, wait, I don't have to do that.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm 7 years into my 50s. I'll tell you, what you just said was a very similar pathway to me, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? And not the minute I turned 50, but probably within that year, I felt like I was just going through a rebirth. Like I felt at my, not even my peak. I still don't even think I'm at my peak. I'm waiting.
Me neither.
I don't want
to. You guys better watch out.
I don't want to reach my peak, because then it's just downhill on the other side. So I'm just going to keep climbing that summit and recreating new summits, because that's what gets me up in the morning. And new, for professionally book projects that we're starting up here again real soon, Rachel and I and others. But, more than that, my personal life, my traveling and, everything that I do on the island. I live on Vancouver Island. I'm so blessed to be surrounded by nature. So, I'm looking forward to all kinds of different stuff. And,
Well, and just to track back a little bit, once you hit the second half, I guess I would, let's just say the second half, there are multitudes of things that happen. Just like you, my parents have aged. My father has died. My mother is aging. She's gone through some of the most difficult experiences she has ever had to deal with at the age of 76.
Yeah.
I had to allow and release my daughter.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked about this publicly. And yet it's been a very interesting journey how the idea of motherhood for me has been very different than what I've heard. And I know I'm not the only one.
No.
But at the age of she's 30, I'm 51. It's almost like to watch and allow and release her from that role in my life. And I know people will have opinions about that. And you can have your opinions about it. And also understand that I am the only one living my life. And you get to live yours, right? And so reinvention is about how we decide what we're going to do. How we decide to come back to what we truly want. and I say it all the time, and I know it sounds repetitive, and yet it's worth hearing. It's all about how you live the life that you want to, and how we spare ourselves of the self-judgment of wanting to do that. Because you recently, you moved to Vancouver Island, you bought a condo, you're like, this is okay, this is where we are, this is how it's going to be, and you envision that life there. And then let's just say 9 months later, is it 9 months or a year?
A year.
A year later, you're like, hold up, this is not it.
No.
This is not what I thought it would be.
Our vision. No.
And then you bought a beautiful piece of nature space.
Yeah.
And you live in a beautiful RV.
Yep.
And you have a she shed. And there are other places around there. And you get to experience life the way you want. But it takes some courage to do that.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, how am I going to say this? Okay. Tell us about 2 things that you did to trust yourself to make the move that you made, because it's a major move.
Yeah.
Selling, giving up a lot of things. And a lot of people would say, I can't do that at that age.
Yeah.
I can't do that because I can't do it because of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
What gave you the courage to do it?
A little bit, I'd have to say my past, because I've made some big decisions in my past that have worked out. Like, I always say you never make mistakes. You just make decisions that are either good or bad. And you live with those consequences. So, I was like, well, how bad could it be? It's still in the same country. It's a province over for us, but it is very different. Like living on an island, you don't just, drive off an island. You have to fly, ferry, whatever, boat. But it's fantastic. I love it, every bit of it. But what took me there? I mean, I have a very supportive partner, so that helped. But I've maintained, and I will say this, even if I didn't have a partner, I'd be sitting right here, because this is where I belong. Like, after subsequent trips here, my heart was here, my soul was here. It no longer was back there.
So tell me the thought. Tell me the thought that said, because this is what people struggle with. They can see a life.
Yeah.
But to get from the life they have to the life they want, there's all the fear.
It down then. You break it down into small bite-sized pieces, because we can't manage big pieces. It's too much to bite. For me to say I'm going from Calgary and I'm going to travel, 1,500 kilometers to an island, that's a big bite. So break it down, right? Just break it down into small little pieces, and then it's so much more manageable. It's like, okay, well, we've found a place to live. We're buying a place. That's done. That's the first piece. Then we place it all into when that's all going to happen. And
but when it comes
surprises, our condo wasn't ready when we got here. We were literally homeless. And so, funny story, true. My partner works at a nursing home, an independent living. So we lived with seniors living for 4 months. We had no choice. But those are all the things that you have to be back to resilience, right? And going, okay. But I guess it's just because I'm like, I'm ready for you. I was in a good space, and I'm like, bring it on. I can manage this. And so
I think that that's it, though, because you have to release some kind of fear, and you have to build risk tolerance.
You do. Oh, absolutely.
And so as you move, either emotionally, in relationships, physically, because as you know, I've recently moved to Vancouver, Washington. Love it here, Pacific Northwest. And, Ronica and I had talked about this move over a year and a half ago. And we're like, okay, let's start. And when you start envisioning yourself living a different life, that is truly the beginning awareness that creates the play of with possibility. What if I could live that life? What would it look like? And then, like you say, breaking that down, but envisioning that in your head points the reticular activation system in your brain to say, this is what we're focused on. Yes. And then we naturally go towards that and start solving the issues or mitigating risk.
And
right?
Another thing we did, and it's not hokey, and you would know this more than anybody, but Tina and I created a vision board, the two of them, and it was of equal input. And that vision board was placed up in plain sight for over a year as we managed to get that vision board to reality. And so that was our beacon. And I still have it. And we're here. But it's just like I look at it and go, wow, man, we did it. We freaking did it. And it's a decision. At the end of the day, it's a decision. What's best for you? You know, I waited till my son graduated. He's off to university now. So I got all those things, you know, got them all done. I didn't like take off. Everything was well placed out. So, but making the decision is just, you just have to make it.
Well, and I think that's what makes us really great partners in whatever project we join together in, is because you plan it out and I'm like, hey, just go with the flow. And don't get me wrong, before this recording, just FYI, Shauna's like, hey, can you give me 5 minutes? I have to prep. And I was like, hey, don't forget it's a conversation. No worries.
There's no prepping required. Like the cat didn't get the memo, but you know.
So, I mean, like, so I think it's like, right, you have to choose. Now, if you are someone that's out there struggling to be like, this is what I really want. This is how I really want to live my life. This is what I really want to experience in my life. The first and easiest thing you can do is start visualizing. Start imagining. Go back. I mean, like, again, like Shana said, when I was younger, we had this 10-inch black and white TV. There was no cable. We lived out in the country. There was a landline, and we used our imaginations to play. And that is why I say play with the possibility to all of my clients and to all of my friends.
Yeah.
What would it look like if? More importantly, what would my body feel like?
Yeah.
And get that feeling in your body. That's what makes a vision board powerful. The vision board isn't the thing that has the magic. You are the thing that has the magic. The vision board is a reminder of your magic.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, just to review, because I don't want people to get lost. Awareness, and start imagining playing with a possibility. What would it look like? Create something physical like a vision board if you need it. Start breaking down, what are the steps? What are some of the technical things? Like when Ronica and I moved, well, Ronica needed to have a job. It's more expensive to live here than it is to rent in Reading.
Tina, she actually had to get a different job.
Yeah.
So never mind, I'm packing up boxes and stuff. I can write anywhere. I can live in Africa. So I'm like, what do you do, right? But meantime, she's like sending out resumes. So this wasn't easy at all. Like there was so many moving parts, and I can go back on it and just go, what did I just travel through? But again, bite-sized pieces, break it down.
Yep.
You don't need to make a decision until you need to make a decision.
Right.
Don't
catch
so far ahead. No. Just what's next? What's tomorrow? What's tomorrow?
Yep, exactly. Don't start worrying about what's happening 6 months from now.
Well, it's like
stay present.
You know, building a book, right? You don't just write a book. Like there's so
some people do.
Like, and then there's Rachel. Don't even edit it, Shana. It's fine. Actually, that's more my style, but that's beside the point. Getting a book out there, whatever it is that you do, like it takes planning and process and steps and all those things. So what are your goals and your dreams, though? You know, like if you're sitting there listening to, God, you know, I wish I was as brave as her or whatever. Like, no.
Well, you are.
Well, I am. No, I am, but I wasn't always, though. Like, in order to, we haven't used this word yet today, which is like, I feel like I should tattoo it somewhere. The word vulnerable. It's working through that, because people are like, oh, you can write, Shana, and your stuff's out there. I said, that doesn't mean I'm still not feeling vulnerability every time I put something out there. But I've learned that, I'll be honest, once I got the book done and my story done, I felt vulnerable too, but I felt kind of a good vulnerable. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Because now I'm almost like to the point where bring it on vulnerability. I'm like challenged by vulnerability. It actually, and I've said this to you before, I've been, tucking away my true passion of writing erotica.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's a big vulnerability. Step into that world. And it's like, no, I'm going to do it. This is it. This is the year I'm publishing this stuff. And I too will go through another vulnerability stepping stone.
Well, and it's that reinvention, right? You're going to reinvent and then it'll be the next level and then the next stepping stone or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And I think it's really important to note that when you create the safety internally about your vulnerability is no longer about, let me show you and get your opinion of me and what I have created. Vulnerability then turns into being, I am presenting this. If you benefit from it, fantastic. And if not, keep going, keep scrolling, keep doing whatever you do. So the safety of vulnerability comes in once you unattach from the external thing that has told you, let's just be real, for so long that you weren't enough.
Right.
And I was on a podcast and this guy says to me, and I'd never been called this before. And then he put it on social media and then I was like, oh, then I really saw. And he's like, Rachel is a vulnerability powerhouse. Because I don't want to live my life any other way.
Yeah. It's so limiting.
Yep.
And we do such a good job of self-limiting ourselves, don't we?
Well, because we're taught that.
We don't need other people to put us down and keep us small. We can do that all by ourselves.
Well,
and I've stated, and I'm stating it, I'll state it here, is that next year, like, I'm working my way up to, like, a massive ghostwriting job that is probably going to be public. How and where I get there, I don't know, but I'm going to get there because I'm putting it out there. That's my vision for my life and what I want. And so it's going out. I'll make it happen.
So, okay, we've talked about a lot of things. And I'm wondering if I'm going to read mine. You read yours. Let me look. The introduction to your story.
Okay. You want me to read the introduction? I need to find my
and then I'm going to read mine.
I need to find it. You'd think I'd have it tabbed. Here, I'll show you the name. There we go.
Love it.
Mama Bear. You want me to read mine?
Yep, I do.
The dedication?
Nope. The introduction, not the dedication. And like mine is like, I'm going to read the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Here we go. Go.
Okay. Saying goodbye. While making this book, my mother's health took a turn for the worse, and I made some unexpected trips back to my hometown of Calgary, Alberta. I was juggling a lot of big life events, but my mother's hospice was my priority. Taking care of my mom through hospice was a responsibility I took very seriously. Being by her side during this most difficult time was an honor and a privilege. While her death was not a shock to any of us, the feelings I had and still have are in uncharted territory. Yes, I've experienced many deaths during my lifetime, but my mother's deaths profoundly affected me, which I'm still sorting through. I've come to the realization that I am no longer a daughter. Over many years, I've played this role to the ultimate degree. I now feel an emptiness inside I can't explain, but perhaps I don't have to. Mom, it wasn't always easy, but we made it to the end. May you find the peace you so longed for during your time here. Say hi to Dad for me.
So if you're listening and you want to tell Shana and give her some advice, don't do it.
Yeah, no.
If you want to put in the comment how much you admire her story and her bravery, put that instead. This episode is not about us needing people's opinions about how we're experiencing our lives. the reinvention of each person throughout their whole entire life, the multiple reinventions are for them. And honoring yourself and how you live your life allows you to honor other people and how they live theirs. Okay. So I'm going to read mine.
Hey,
thank you.
Gotcha.
I used to pray to be a dumb blonde. You've heard all the jokes. Yep, I wanted to be that. For countless years, I held back, ignored, and endured one micro self-betrayal after the next. I was taught, encouraged, and even praised not to trust myself. Bye-bye to self-esteem, self-trust, and worthiness. I prayed to have the ability to walk around on this earth with limited insight, limited senses, and limited knowing. It reminds me of multiple stories of people I help and friends trying to pray the gay away. With my best dumb blonde effort, I gave that prayer a shot, and for 3 solid days. I really did. A good effort in my book. It was to no avail. God, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, wasn't about to answer that prayer. They were like, nah, Rachel, nah. You know, you touched on something earlier and how we shame ourselves and judge ourselves enough. You know, and I know, and I'm going to tell all of you listening, that stuff was never yours. You didn't come out of the womb shaming yourself, judging yourself. All of that was given to you. So when you find yourself doing that, there's no need to judge yourself and to say you're not worthy. I want to encourage you to release all of those, because this is where your next reinvention lies. Anything that you feel for any reason you can't do, whatever those reasons are, whatever you've been told, you have the opportunity and choice to say, nah, no thank you, thanks for the awareness, and we're moving on this way. To honor yourself and to finally create this ultimate self-trust that allows you to continue to move forward in your life the way that you want to, whatever that may be. You know, whether it's moving and selling, moving from land to an island, then from a condo to an RV, to dare to live life the way that you want, for financial freedom, for whatever it is.
Yeah.
To move from a place where everyone is telling you, why can't you just do it here? Why can't you just make it? Why can't you just change your mindset? Why can't you just blah, blah, blah?
I had a lot of that in Calgary. Like, why do you have to leave everything, right? I mean, it's fear. Your friends don't want to see you move. And but at the end of the day, I got to do what's best for myself and my family. And I did just that. So I'm literally living my dream. Like, I'm in a beautiful part of the island. I mean, I'm steps away from the ocean and hikes and but creating it with intention, right, Rachel? I've said that word again many times. It's wake up with intention, people. Like, we need to wake up as a human race, as societies, as countries. Wake the fuck up. Because, like, no one's going to do it for you. There are so many people in my life that are just waiting for things to happen to them. Well, guess what? You're going to be waiting until you die. And it's never going to fucking happen.
Well, and if that's the way, honestly, you want to live your life, you go do you, boo.
Yeah. But if you're not happy with it, then make the change, is what my point is.
Right. I mean, and realizing too, that the more self-trust that you create, the more knowing you have about yourself, the less you need input from other people. Other people may have very, very great intentions, but they are doing and telling you something through their lenses of experiences.
Their own fear, though.
Right. And a lot of it is a projection.
Do that, Shauna. Why can't I do that? Because it's your fear. It's not my fear.
Right.
Like, why would you tell me I can't do something? Who are you to say that? But we're all raised with that, aren't we? We're raised to be fit in a box and limitations. Or you can only do so much, you know? My dad was famous for that. I don't know how I managed to get out from underneath that. I'll be honest. Like, it was like, no, you have a good job. Stay in that job for the rest of your life. Well, just because you did, Dad, doesn't mean that's right for me. That's not my path. And so, like, you know, when I changed careers and everything, that was a massive hit to them, but not to me. I knew what was right for me. So, anyway.
Yeah. This discussion about reinvention, you know, could go on for hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in 1 to 2 sentences, now I know this is going to be hard for you. From the depths of your soul.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
If someone is struggling and you want to inspire them to reinvent themselves however they want, what do you want to tell them?
Call Rachel.
Okay.
What do you want? Therapist. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you want? But like, this is like, someone's like, hey.
I get it. So, I mean, I can only go by, you know, like what inspires me or where I get inspiration or whatever. I mean, talking to you, I mean, I call you, I email you, whatever, right? Not email, text. But I read a lot in, you know, books like this. It doesn't, again, I'm not here to plug the book, but anything that you can draw inspiration from. Podcasts have become something very, very important to my daily life now. And I choose people like Mel Robbins to listen to and Road to Radical Visibility. So why wouldn't I? So anyway, you got to create your own space. You just
there it is.
Space. There's your one sentence.
Okay.
How you're going to do it is different than mine. But just consciously wake up. How am I going to create my own space today? Just start with today. And it might just be a nice brewed cup of coffee that you haven't done in a while. I don't know, whatever that is, right? And make that one phone call. Like I've got a student now with my academy, and I said, okay, you got to get yourself a website. You know, you got to do a bio. You got to do all these things, right? You like get the steps in place. And so she's systematically getting things done. And that's what you do every day. You wake up. What's my space today? How do I create that?
So, okay. So here's going to be my one sentence, maybe two.
I took up too much bandwidth.
Don't worry about the how. Now, for people like Shana, this can drive you crazy. And yet there is freedom in that. Stop projecting what you think, because remember, anything that you think you want to happen is based on your past experiences. But how much more powerful would it be to be like, I'm open to whatever experiences are there for me?
Good, bad, or ugly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when nothing is either, I'll just take it the next step forward, like nothing is either good, bad, or ugly. It just is. Yeah. And we say, what is it? How is it I want to be interacting? What is it that I want to experience in this moment?
Well, you know, a long time ago, I actually got a tattoo on my arm, and the word is faith. If I can show it, the word is faith. And it's not a religious connotation whatsoever, but the faith is, have faith in yourself, Shana, have faith in those around you. And it's been really, I'd have to say, almost that core message to myself, that one word that has helped me. And I have a visual reminder of it. When I start to steer off a little bit, I'm like, no, come on, you got faith. You've been through this before or something similar. You're going to get through it again. And like you said before, to reiterate, you know, I don't want to keep saying like everything has to be negative to get through it. Because there's some really positive things too that you have to get through, you know what I mean? Or you have to work through. But yeah, so I'll just stop talking, but I just wanted to share that one.
Okay. So again, we could go on for forever. I just want to tell you, if you want to get this book and be inspired by 20 women and 20 totally different stories and see this gamut of possibility for yourself, there's going to be a link in the description below Here is what the book looks like. I would love to have you get it. No one is making a profit off this book. Shana and I did this book out of a labor of love.
Amazon gets all the profit.
And so it's like the more hands that we can get this in that says, I can reinvent myself. Mm-hmm. I am courageous enough. I am brave enough. That is the whole goal of this book. Okay, my friends, I'm going to end that here. I'll end this video like I end every single video. Please make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within you. I will see you all on the next road to radical visibility. Until then, bye. Hold up, don't go yet. If this episode inspired you to be 100% yourself 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed, even just that little bit more, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. I'm here, and I know you are too, to make a positive impact in the world. So don't forget to share the love. And if you were left wanting more of this type of kick-ass content, then don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Until next time, make sure to stay true and be you. Until then, bye.